Tonight's story begins with a heartbeat that should have never returned. A paramedic kneels over a lifeless man in a forgotten alley. No pulse, no breath, no hope. Until he opens his eyes and whispers her name. She doesn't know it yet. But she's just saved the Vampire King. And now every creature of the night is coming for her blood. Her knowledge. And the destiny she never asked for. This is where her world ends. And his begins. Quick one, drop your country or city in the comments. Let's see how far this story travels. Emily Carter had worked late-night shifts for 7 years, and she thought she had seen almost everything. Overdoses in abandoned buildings, drunk fights under neon signs, car wrecks so brutal even the backup crews refused to talk about them afterward. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for the call that came in at 3:14 a.m. Unresponsive male. No ID. Possible stabbing. Location, Old Mill Alley, the radio crackled. Emily gave a tired sigh, rubbed her eyes, and pulled on her gloves. Her partner, Dan, shot her a sympathetic look. You good? As good as anyone working at 3 a.m., she muttered, grabbing her trauma bag. They rolled into the alley, headlights slicing through layers of fog drifting low to the ground like slow, pale ghosts. The place was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of quiet that felt wrong, even in a city where wrong was normal. Where's the caller? Dan murmured. No idea. Let's move. They stepped between tall brick buildings stained by decades of rain and graffiti. Emily spotted a body slumped against the wall, half in shadow. A man. Tall. Barely clothed except for a ripped shirt and a dark coat heavy with dirt and dust, as if he had crawled out of the ground. Emily jogged over and knelt beside him. His skin was pale, unnaturally pale, the kind of pale you didn't see even in the dead. He looked carved from moonlight. She touched his neck. Cold as stone. No pulse. Her stomach tightened. His gone. Dan hovered behind her. Looks like it. Should I call it? Emily hesitated. Something in her, some instinct she trusted without question, told her not to. No. Not yet. His cold. I know. Just, give me a second. She leaned closer, shining her flashlight over his face. Dirt clung to his skin, but underneath, she saw sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, and long black hair that fell over his forehead. He looked ancient and young at the same time. Weird. She opened his shirt. No stab wounds. No injuries at all. His chest was still, silent. Then, something strange happened. As she placed her fingers against his skin again, the ground beneath them seemed to vibrate. Not violently, just a faint hum, as if the alley itself was breathing. Emily frowned. Dan stepped back. All right, that's creepy. She grabbed the defibrillator anyway. If I don't try, I'll always wonder. Dan sighed. You're the boss on this one. She attached the pads. Clear. The jolt echoed through the alley. Nothing. She tried again. Clear. The man's body jerked, but still nothing. She leaned down, pressing her hands to his sternum. Come on, come back, try. For a heartbeat, just one, she thought she felt a faint vibration under his ribs. A soft flutter. Then it stopped. Dan, help me get him on the stretcher. Emily, he's dead. The man suddenly inhaled. A deep, sharp breath that ripped the air around them. Emily froze. Dan swore loudly and staggered backward. The man's eyes snapped open. And they were gold. Not yellow, gold, like molten metal catching fire. Emily's breath caught. His gaze locked onto her, as if he knew her. As if he had been waiting. He whispered, voice cracked like dry earth. Emily. Dan dropped his flashlight. Nope, nope, I'm out. Emily's heart hammered, but she couldn't move. How do you? But his eyes rolled back. He collapsed again, body limp like a puppet with the strings cut. Emily swallowed hard. Logic screamed at her to call the police. Protocol screamed at her to call the hospital. But something deeper, louder, pulled her in another direction. Help me get him in the ambulance, she said. Dan stared at her. Emily. He said your name. I didn't tell him. Exactly. I don't care. Help me. Her voice was calm, steady, and even she didn't know how she managed that. Reluctantly, Dan helped lift the man onto the stretcher. Emily pushed it toward the ambulance, fighting the strange tremble in her hands. Once inside, she hooked him to monitors, flatline. His skin remained cold. But he had breathed. She knew what she saw. She secured him, climbed into her seat, and shouted, "Go!" The ambulance sped through the sleeping city. But all the while, Emily felt it, a presence beside her. A weight in the air. A tiny spark of something. As if the silent man on the stretcher was not dead at all. Just waiting. By the time they reached St. Mercy Hospital, Emily's mind felt like a storm she couldn't sort through. Dan had stopped talking altogether, probably trying to convince himself they hadn't just watched a corpse breathe. Emily rolled the stretcher out and shouted for an empty trauma room. But something felt wrong. As if bringing him into the bright, sterile world of the hospital would make something break. She wheeled him into Trauma Room 3. The lights flickered overhead, old wiring, nothing unusual, but somehow it felt connected to him. Emily shut the door behind her. She didn't want anyone else in the room. She checked his vitals again. Nothing. No pulse. No breaths. Yet she could swear, absolutely swear, that his fingers twitched. She leaned closer, inspecting his skin. No wounds. No signs of illness. No signs of violence. "Who are you?" she whispered. She reached for her stethoscope and placed it on his chest. Silence. She should have left. Should have called a doctor. Should have called security. But instead, she reached up and brushed hair away from his face. His skin felt strangely soft for someone so cold. She didn't know why she whispered it, but she did. "Please don't die." The room grew colder, as if her breath had turned the air to frost. Then, his hand shot up and wrapped around her wrist. Emily gasped but didn't scream. His grip was strong, unrealistically strong, but not painful. His fingers were long and icy. His golden eyes opened again, slow and heavy, like he was waking from a century of sleep. He stared at her. Not confused. Not afraid. More like searching. "Emily Carter," he breathed. Emily felt her pulse racing. "How do you know my name?" He blinked, as if the effort took everything he had. "I heard it." "When?" "A long time ago." "That's impossible." "Yes," he whispered. "It is." She swallowed hard. "Are you hurt? What happened to you?" He looked suddenly tired. Ancient. His voice barely carried. "I am empty." "Empty?" "I haven't fed." Emily stiffened. "Fed? What does that mean?" His eyes closed for a moment, as if the weakness was too great. "I need blood." Emily froze. He didn't explain. He didn't say hospital blood or transfusion blood. He simply said blood. The meaning hit her chest like a fist. "No," she whispered. "You're not saying." The lights flickered again. The heart monitor beeped once, then flatlined again. A cold wind blew through the room, though there were no windows open. A whisper crawled across his lips. "I need just a little to wake." Emily stepped back. Her voice shook. "Are you telling me you're a—" The door banged open. A nurse stepped in. "Emily, what's going on? You didn't log this patient." The nurse saw the man on the stretcher and frowned. "Why is he not in the system? Is he DOA?" Emily stiffened. If the hospital took him, he'd be examined. Reported. Dissected in every way possible. She didn't know why that thought filled her with sudden panic. "He just needs a minute," Emily said quickly. The nurse raised an eyebrow. "Emily, he looks dead." "I know he does." She forced a smile. "Just give me a few minutes. Please." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. "Fine, but log him soon. Dr. Hargreaves is rounding." She left. Emily shut the door again and leaned against it, breathing fast. She turned back to the man. His eyes were open. He was watching her. "Why me?" she whispered. "Why did you say my name?" His voice was soft, barely there. "Because your voice pulled me back." Emily's heart skipped. "Back from what?" "Darkness," he murmured. "Silence. A century of it." Emily swallowed hard. Her legs felt weak. She moved closer again, despite everything inside her telling her to run. "What's your name?" she asked softly. He exhaled slowly, as if trying to remember. "Aidan." "Aidan what?" His eyes drifted, as if searching through memories too heavy to lift. "Blackthorn." The name felt old. Too old for the modern room around them. Emily asked the question she feared the answer to. "Aidan, what are you?" He looked at her for a long moment, golden eyes glowing faintly. "I am something your world forgot," he said. "Something your stories fear." Emily's mouth went dry. "A vampire?" Silence. Then he gave the smallest nod. Her breath hitched. "That's impossible." "Yes," he whispered again. "It is." Emily pressed a hand to her forehead. "I should tell someone. I should call security. I should." "You should help me," he said, voice so soft it almost wasn't a command. "Because if you leave me like this, I will die. Truly die." Emily looked at him. Really looked. He wasn't attacking her. He wasn't threatening her. He was weak. Barely clinging to existence. And against all logic, all training, all common sense, she believed him. "All right," she said quietly, taking a shaky breath. "Tell me what you need." Aidan's eyes flickered, warm for a split second. "Not much. Just enough to regain strength." Emily nodded slowly. She slipped into professional mode, because it was the only thing keeping her grounded. "Okay," she said. "If you need blood, I'll find a way. But not mine. Not yet." He nodded once, weakly. Emily hurried to the supply cabinet, grabbed a sealed emergency blood bag, and returned. When she held it up, Aidan's eyes sharpened with hunger for the first time, but he didn't lunge or move. He waited. What do you?" Emily stammered. He lifted a trembling hand. "Just open it." She did. He sat up slowly, painfully, like lifting his own body took all the strength he had left. He pressed the opening to his lips. When the blood touched his tongue, his entire body shuddered. His eyes closed, and a low sound escaped his throat, half relief, half agony. Emily watched, frozen, as he drank only a few seconds before stopping. He dropped the bag, panting. "That's all?" she asked. "For now," he whispered. The lights steadied. The hum in the air softened. Aidan fell back onto the stretcher, breathing heavily, actually breathing. Emily stared at him, heart pounding. She had just fed a vampire. In a hospital. In secret. On a man who should be dead. Aidan's breathing slowed. His eyes opened again, and for the first time, he looked almost human. He whispered, "Thank you, Emily." She swallowed hard. "We're not out of this yet." "No," he said softly. "But you saved me." She shook her head. "I don't even know what I'm doing." "You followed your instinct," he murmured. "And that is why you were chosen." "Chosen?" she repeated, shocked. "Chosen for what?" But Aidan's eyes were already closing again, exhaustion pulling him under. Emily stepped back, trembling. Chosen. Chosen for what? And why did it feel like her life had just split into the before and the after, and nothing would ever be normal again? Emily stayed in trauma room 3 long after Aidan slipped back into his strange, fragile sleep. The silence felt too heavy for a hospital. Machines hummed, lights buzzed, footsteps echoed outside the door, yet the room itself felt sealed off, like a bubble untouched by the world outside. Aidan lay still, his chest rising and falling only slightly now, the faintest hint of breath returning to him. His skin remained cold, but no longer the icy deadness she first felt. A shadow of life was creeping back into him. Emily pressed a hand to her forehead. She was exhausted, confused, terrified, and yet steady. Too steady. As if something inside her anchored her to him, refusing to let her walk away. She needed answers. She grabbed her tablet, pretended to take notes, but kept her eyes on him. His golden eyes opened slowly, as if he felt her stare. He exhaled softly. You stayed. You passed out again. I am weak. His voice was low, a rasp made of centuries of dust. Emily pulled a chair closer. How long since you last fed? He held her gaze, something old and unspeakably tired sitting behind those eyes. Centuries. Centuries. She swallowed. Aiden, even if you're a vampire, you can't survive centuries without. Your stories, he murmured, are small pieces of much older truths. He closed his eyes again, not out of weariness but memory. I fed last during the Great Ruin. Emily blinked. The what? The night my kingdom fell. A sharp jolt shot through her chest. You're telling me you're the last king, he whispered, of a world hidden beneath yours. Emily stared. Her heartbeat grew louder, as if her own body was trying to drown out his words. A vampire king. His lips curved slightly, not amusement, not pride, something heavier. I abandoned the throne long ago. Why? His jaw tightened. Because ruling meant killing. Commanding. Demanding loyalty through blood. I could no longer bear what I had become. His eyes met hers. So I starved myself. Emily stared at him in disbelief. You starved yourself for 200 years. 312. The exactness sent a chill up her spine. But that's impossible. He tilted his head slightly. You humans love that word. Emily leaned back, trying to breathe normally. But something kept her anchored to the chair. His voice, his presence, the surreal gravity of his story. She couldn't walk out that door if she tried. What made you come back? She asked quietly. You, he answered with the same softness he used earlier. Emily's heart skipped. Me. Your hands pulled me into this world again. He studied her face with an intensity that made her chest tighten. I have not felt a heartbeat echo against mine in centuries. Emily's breath caught. You mean earlier, in the alley? He nodded. A moment of connection. A bridge. It woke what little life remained in me. She shivered. So what now? You want me to feed you? Keep you alive? Hide you? I want only time to gather strength. His voice softened. And I will take only what you allow. Emily glanced at the empty blood bag on the counter. You said that wasn't enough. It was enough to breathe, he said. To stay in this world a few hours longer. And after that? Aiden didn't answer. Emily sighed. I don't understand any of this. He watched her with an unreadable expression. You will. A faint knock sounded on the door. Emily stiffened. Emily. Dan's voice. You in there? Aiden's body tensed instantly, like a threatened animal. His eyes darkened, gold swirling with something deeper. Human. Yes, Emily whispered. My partner. Aiden relaxed only slightly, but his fingers curled around the sheet. Ready. Emily opened the door a crack. Hey. Dan peered inside. You okay? You've been in here forever. I'm fine, she said too quickly. Patient is stabilizing. Dan frowned. The guy had no pulse. What are you hiding? Emily stepped outside, shutting the door behind her. Dan, please. I need time. Just cover for me. He stared at her, deeply worried. This isn't like you. I know, she admitted softly. But I can't explain right now. Please. He sighed, rubbed his face, and nodded. You get 1 hour. After that, I'm calling Hargreaves. Emily returned to the room. Aiden watched her closely. You lie well, he said. I'm not used to lying, she muttered. You will be, he murmured. Emily swallowed. What does that mean? He didn't answer. His gaze drifted to the door. What you did brought danger. What danger? Old enemies. His fingers brushed the metal railing of the stretcher. They will sense I am awake. Emily shook her head. Aidan, that sounds. A sudden pressure filled the room, like a warning. Aidan's eyes sharpened with recognition and fear. It has begun, he whispered. Emily felt her heart stutter. What has begun? The hunt. Across the city, miles away from the hospital, 3 figures stood on a rooftop overlooking the neon-lit streets. Wind whipped against their coats, carrying the distant hum of sirens and traffic. Victor Hale stood at the edge, eyes glowing faint blue, jaw set in a hard line. His hair was slicked back, his pale skin reflecting the city light like polished stone. Behind him stood his lieutenants, sharp, silent, and hungry. One of them inhaled deeply. I smell it. Victor's eyes narrowed. So it's true. He's alive. Barely, the lieutenant said. But yes. The old king walks again. Victor's lips twisted into something that wasn't quite a smile. Not for long. He stepped forward. Find him. And bring me the human who revived him. The human? The second lieutenant asked. Victor's gaze sharpened. Someone who can make the dead walk is useful. Very useful. He turned toward the city like a predator spotting prey. A healer with knowledge of blood, she might be the key to perfecting our new system. The lieutenants bowed and vanished into the darkness. Victor remained on the roof. The wind whipped his coat, but he didn't move. His eyes glowed brighter. So you crawl back from your grave, Aidan, he murmured. But the throne isn't yours anymore. He stepped off the roof and dropped into the night like a falling shadow. Back at St. Mercy Hospital, Emily helped Aidan sit up. Her hands moved quickly and automatically, the way they did when she was treating shock victims, except this time her patient wasn't human and the cause wasn't something she could list on a chart. Your enemies, Emily whispered. They know you're awake. They will feel the shift, Aidan said. My presence was a weight on this world. When it stirred, so did they. Emily grabbed the blood pressure cuff again, though she had no idea why. His vitals were meaningless. So what do we do? Aidan's breathing grew uneven again. You must hide me. In the hospital. No. They will smell me here. Follow the trail of blood. His eyes flicked to the door. You must move me. Move you where? Somewhere dark, he murmured. Somewhere forgotten. Emily felt a shiver crawl up her spine. The tunnels. Aidan nodded weakly. Deep ones. Old ones. Emily paced for a moment, fighting the urge to panic. How am I supposed to move a half-dead vampire king through a hospital without anyone noticing? Aidan gave her a slow, tired look. You are resourceful. That's not a plan, Aidan. Before he could answer, a loud crash echoed from the hall. A sharp, metallic sound, like something heavy hitting a door. Emily's blood ran cold. Footsteps followed. Fast. Too fast for any human. Aidan's eyes flashed with alarm. They're here. How? He cut her off. Help me up. Emily hurried to his side, wrapping his arm over her shoulder. His body felt like marble, heavy, cold, but he forced himself upright with a painful groan. The footsteps grew louder. Emily whispered, We have to go. Now. They stumbled toward the far door, the one that led to the maintenance hall. Emily shoved it open, dragging Aidan inside. The door clicked shut behind them just as the main trauma room door burst open. They froze. Through the small window in the maintenance door, Emily saw shadows sweep across the trauma room. 3 figures. Silent. Searching. A cold, distant voice spoke, smooth as velvet and sharp as a blade. She was here. Emily felt her stomach drop. Victor Hale stepped into view. Her breath caught. He was beautiful in a frightening way. Tall, elegant, dressed in a black coat, eyes glowing a faint icy blue. He surveyed the room with calm interest, as if tipping his head in respect to a place where nothing could hide from him. Victor touched the blood bag on the counter. His fingers brushed the dried red smear near its opening. He closed his eyes, inhaling. Fresh, he murmured. Human. Emily pressed a hand over her mouth, heart pounding. Victor's eyes snapped open. Find them. The lieutenants moved instantly, silent shadows disappearing down the hall. Victor glanced at the maintenance door. Emily froze. His eyes lingered there for a long, tense second. Then he smiled, not warmly, patiently. We will meet soon, healer. He turned and walked away. Emily slumped against the wall, shaking. Aidan leaned heavily against her. We must leave now. She nodded, pushing her panic down. She dragged him through the maintenance corridor, past pipes and storage crates, toward the employee exit. They reached her ambulance, parked in the back lot. Emily shoved open the rear doors. Get in. Aidan tried, but his legs trembled. Emily pushed with all her strength, managing to get him onto the bed. She climbed into the front seat, hands shaking as she started the engine. Aidan's voice floated weakly from the back. Emily. She steadied her breathing. What? Thank you, he whispered. She closed her eyes for half a second. Then she slammed her foot on the accelerator. The ambulance roared out into the night, sirens off, lights off, heading toward the abandoned tunnels beneath the city, where darkness waited and enemies hunted. Emily had no plan. No backup. No reason to believe she could save him. But she drove anyway. Because somehow, in the chaos of everything she didn't understand, she knew her life now moved toward him like a compass needle pointing north. And nothing, human or monster, was going to stop her. The ambulance sliced through the night, weaving between empty streets and flickering stoplights. Emily's hands were clenched around the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles were white. Every sound, every siren in the distance, every rustle of wind, felt like a threat. She kept checking the rearview mirror. Aidan lay on the stretcher in the back, his body barely moving, his face paler than before. The small amount of blood she'd given him had done little more than slow his fall toward death. We're almost there, Emily muttered, more to herself than him. His voice drifted faintly. I trust you. She inhaled sharply. Those 3 words felt far heavier than they should. Trust from anyone was rare in her job. Trust from something ancient and powerful? That shook her. You shouldn't, she murmured, eyes fixed on the road. Wind whipped against the ambulance as she turned sharply onto a service road leading toward the old subway tunnels the city abandoned decades ago. Rusted gates guarded the entrance, but she rammed the vehicle through them, metal screeching and sparks flying. The ambulance bumped violently over debris before grinding to a stop. Emily jumped out, flung open the back doors, and hurried to Aidan's side. His breathing was worse. Slow. Uneven. Barely there. Emily felt panic rise in her throat. Aidan, stay with me. He looked at her, eyes unfocused. I am trying. She swallowed. You said you needed more blood. He nodded weakly. Yes. Emily grabbed her medical bag, pulling out another sealed blood unit. Old, but still viable. She tore it open and helped press it to his lips. Aidan tried to drink. He managed one pull, barely. But then he coughed, choking on it. The blood spilled down his chin. Emily froze. Something was wrong. Aidan. He shook his head. This is not enough. I need strength. Real strength. Emily's heartbeat picked up speed. What does that mean? He opened his eyes fully now, gold glowing faintly in the darkness. It must come from a living source. Her breath hitched. She took a step back. No. No. You said. I said I would not take what you did not freely give, he murmured. And I meant it. He didn't reach for her. Didn't move toward her. He simply lay there, trembling, fighting to speak. You owe me nothing. If you walk away now, I will not blame you. Emily stared at him. The tunnel around them hummed with distant echoes, dripping water, wind blowing through metal beams, the faint howl of something deeper. She thought of the hospital. Of Victor's icy blue eyes. Of the lieutenants ripping open a door like it was paper. She thought of Aidan grabbing her wrist earlier, not to harm her, but because he was afraid. He was dying. Dying for real this time. And the worst part, the part she didn't want to admit, was that some part of her ached at the thought. She exhaled shakily. If I give you blood, will you lose control? His answer came immediately. No. Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. If I do this, what happens next? I live, he breathed. And I protect you. Her heart twisted. That wasn't a threat. It was a promise. Emily walked to him slowly, hands trembling. She sat on the edge of the stretcher and held out her wrist. Aidan stared at her in disbelief, jaw clenched with restraint. Emily, are you certain? No, she admitted. But I'm doing it anyway. A sound escaped him, almost like a broken exhale. He reached for her gently, his fingers brushing her skin as if she were delicate glass. His touch was cold, but his hand shook. Thank you, he whispered. He lowered his mouth to her wrist. She tensed, closing her eyes. Then his fangs pierced her skin. A sharp sting, then a spreading warmth, a strange mixture of fear, pain, and something she couldn't name. Aidan drank slowly, carefully, with control so intense it felt like a promise kept. His hand cupped her arm gently, grounding her. Emily's breath grew shallow. Okay, that's enough. He instantly pulled back. His eyes glowed bright gold now, alive with something fierce and ancient. The color pulsed like sunlight in a storm. Emily, dizzy, pulled her hand away. He stared at the blood on his lips as if remembering what living felt like. You risked yourself, he said softly. You would have died, she whispered. Aidan sat up fully for the first time. His shoulders straightened. His voice grew stronger. I am in your debt. Emily shook her head. I don't want a debt. You have it anyway. Before Emily could respond, a sudden screech echoed through the tunnel. A sound like metal tearing. Emily jumped to her feet. They followed us. Aidan's expression hardened, the softness gone. They will not catch us unprepared, he said. Not now. The strength in his voice made her chest tighten. He rose from the stretcher, unsteady but powerful. The hunt wasn't over. It was just beginning. They heard the first footsteps before they saw anything. Quick, heavy, inhumanly fast. Echoing closer with every heartbeat. Emily grabbed her flashlight and scanned the tunnels. Aidan, how many? 3, he said instantly. Victor's lieutenants. The strongest of his brood. Emily's chest tightened. And Victor himself, she whispered. Not yet. He sends others to weaken us first. A cold shiver crawled down Emily's spine. Aidan turned toward her, golden eyes sharp. We leave. Now. Emily nodded, helping him toward the ambulance. His strength was returning, but he still leaned on her slightly. She climbed into the driver's seat and slammed the door shut. Aidan stood behind her, bracing himself. The tunnel vibrated suddenly with a scream, a shrill, feral sound that made Emily grip the wheel tighter. They're close, Aidan said. Emily didn't wait. She floored the accelerator. The ambulance lurched forward, tires screeching over wet concrete. The headlights cut through thick darkness, revealing rusted pipes and broken tracks. Behind them, 3 figures sprinted into view. Emily's heart nearly stopped. They moved like shadows, fast enough to blur. Eyes glowing faint blue, reflecting the ambulance lights. They're gaining. Emily shouted. Aidan braced himself against the metal bars. Keep driving. The tunnel narrowed ahead, walls closing inward. Water dripped from cracked ceilings. The path twisted sharply left. Emily turned the wheel, barely staying upright. A figure slammed onto the rear doors with an ear-splitting crash. Emily let out a panicked gasp. Aidan roared, a deep, old sound, and slammed his fist against the metal from the inside. The creature on the back snarled and pounded its hand through the glass. Emily screamed, Aidan! Aidan grabbed the shattered window edges, eyes blazing gold. Drive! She obeyed. The ambulance sped up, hitting a broken section of track. The vehicle bounced violently, throwing the creature off the door and sending it flying across the tunnel. One down. Aidan shouted. Emily didn't celebrate. 2 more shadows sprinted beside the ambulance, slamming their fists into the steel. The metal bent inward. Aidan's expression darkened. Faster! I am! Emily yelled, slamming the pedal to the floor. One vampire leaped onto the driver's side window, claws cracking the glass. Emily swerved violently, scraping the creature against the tunnel wall until it shrieked and fell away. The tunnel ahead split in two. Which way? Emily shouted. Right. Aidan barked. Emily turned sharply, tires screeching. The last lieutenant lunged onto the roof of the ambulance. The entire vehicle shook. Emily almost lost control, grabbing the wheel desperately. It's on the roof. Aidan's eyes flashed with resolve. Keep it steady. He climbed toward the back door. Aidan, don't! Emily cried. But he ripped open the damaged door and stepped into the rushing wind. The sight burned into her memory. Aidan silhouetted in the tunnel's dim light, coat whipping behind him, golden eyes glowing fiercely as he looked up at the creature trying to break through the roof. With a feral hiss, the lieutenant tore open a hole in the metal and reached for him. Aidan moved faster than Emily had seen since the alley. He grabbed the creature by the throat and yanked it downward. The vampire screeched, kicking violently. Aidan held on, teeth bared. Emily watched in horrified silence as Aidan dragged the lieutenant halfway through the hole, then slammed its head against the roof. Once. Twice. A third time. The creature dropped off the ambulance, rolling lifelessly across the tracks. Aidan climbed back inside, breathing heavily. Emily met his eyes through the rearview mirror. You're bleeding. He wiped the blood from his face. It's not mine. Emily swallowed hard. The tunnel widened ahead. The immediate danger was gone, but the silence that followed was worse. A heavy, suffocating silence. Aidan lowered himself onto the bench seat, chest rising with slow breaths. Victor will not stop. He knows where we are now. Emily felt a tremor in her hands. You fought them while still half weak. Aidan looked at her softly. I fought because you drove. Emily blinked, feeling something in her chest twist again. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice, Emily, he said quietly. And you chose to save me. She didn't answer. Not because she couldn't. Because she didn't know how. The tunnel lights grew brighter ahead. Emily slowed as they reached a large chamber, a forgotten maintenance area with collapsed ceilings and broken rails. We stop here, Aidan said. Emily parked the ambulance. The moment the engine died, her shaking finally caught up to her. Aidan approached slowly. Emily. She stepped away, overwhelmed. You bit me. I let you bite me. And now vampires are chasing us through tunnels like it's normal. Aidan's expression was soft, almost pained. I didn't want to endanger you. You didn't, she snapped. I endangered myself. She was breathing too fast. Aidan stepped closer, his presence grounding her like gravity. Emily, he murmured. You're not alone. She shook her head, tears burning her eyes from exhaustion and fear. I don't know what's happening to my life. Aidan gently rested his hand over her heartbeat. Your life didn't change because of me. It changed because you chose to fight for something you didn't understand. Emily closed her eyes, heartbeat pounding beneath his cold hand. Then she whispered, What now? Aidan's gaze turned serious. Now, we prepare. Victor will come for us himself. Emily exhaled slowly. The chase was over, for now. But the real war was just beginning. The air in the abandoned maintenance chamber felt thick, as if it held the breath of centuries. Emily's flashlight swept across broken rails, rusted ladders, and a collapsed ceiling, but far beyond all that, she sensed something strange. Something unsettled and waiting. Aidan stepped out of the ambulance, now walking under his own strength, still not fully restored, but undeniably more alive than he'd been hours ago. His posture had changed. Straighter. Sharper. Like the shadows themselves recognized his return. Emily followed him carefully. Where are we going? Aidan didn't stop or look back. Deeper. Why deeper? She asked, though her voice was already softening, falling into a whisper the tunnel seemed to demand. Because that is where I lived before your world built over mine. Emily's heart jolted. Your kingdom. Part of it, he said. before it was buried by time, concrete, and human progress. He continued forward, and Emily followed, weaving through fallen debris. The tunnel narrowed and curved sharply. Emily had to crouch at one point, crawling under a fallen steel beam. Aidan waited on the other side, extending his hand to help her through. She took it. His grip was cold, but steady. Familiar in a way she didn't want to think about. They walked deeper until the tunnel widened again, into a vast chamber almost cathedral-like in shape. Broken pillars lined the walls. The remains of ancient carvings etched the stone, symbols worn by water and time. Emily froze. What is this place? Aidan stepped forward as if re-entering a memory he had tried to forget. My hall, he said quietly. One of the first. Emily turned slowly, her flashlight catching the faint outlines of statues, stone figures with regal robes and long, flowing hair, their faces cracked or missing. Some held swords. Others held chalices. She moved closer to a wall, brushing debris off an engraving. It depicted a crown and a spear crossed over a circle of light. She whispered, "This is real." Aidan nodded. It was once beautiful. Before war. Before betrayal. Emily looked back at him. Why did it fall? Aidan's jaw tightened. Because I left. His voice echoed through the hollow chamber. He continued walking until he reached a broken throne made of dark stone. It had been split down the middle. One half crumbled into dust. Aidan touched the stone with trembling fingers. This was where I sat when I was still young, he murmured. Before I yearned what ruling cost. Emily stepped toward him, cautiously. Tell me. Aidan drew a deep, steadying breath. Our kind existed long before your stories. We lived beneath your cities, feeding in secrecy, building empires under the earth. His eyes darkened as he spoke. But power creates enemies. Victor was one of them. Emily swallowed. Victor, he was part of your kingdom. Aidan gave a hollow laugh. My most trusted commander. A loyal soldier. A brilliant strategist. His fingers curled into a fist. Until he wanted more. Emily looked at the cracked throne. Did he do this? No, Aidan said. I did. Emily stared. You destroyed your own throne. Aidan nodded, slow and heavy. I starved myself knowing my death would weaken the bloodline. Without a king, Victor could not claim the crown. The throne required the blood of 2 surviving rulers. His gaze slid to the ground. I made sure no other remained. Emily felt a chill crawl up her spine. You chose to end your own people's rule. I chose peace, he corrected. A peace built on sacrifice. He finally turned to her fully. In the dim light, his face looked carved in grief. When I left this place, I believed everything would fade into time. Buried. Forgotten. He ran a hand across the broken stone. But some ghosts do not sleep. Victor kept searching. Waiting. Building his own army. Emily took a slow breath. And now he thinks your return threatens him. For him, Aidan said softly, my return is war. Emily stepped closer. Then why bring me here? His eyes met hers. Because you must know the truth before you choose what comes next. Emily's voice trembled. Choose. Yes. Aidan stepped closer, his voice low and steady. You have tied yourself to my fate. By saving me. By giving your blood. His eyes softened. By staying. Emily felt heat rise in her face. I didn't stay for destiny. I stayed because I didn't want you to die. And that, he murmured, is the only reason that matters. Before she could answer, a low sound echoed through the chamber. A rumble. A shift of air. A warning. Aidan's eyes snapped up. Someone is coming. Emily tensed. Victor. No, Aidan shook his head slowly. Someone more dangerous. Emily felt her pulse spike. Who? The one he sent. Emily grabbed Aidan's arm, heart pounding. Is there another way out? Aidan shook his head. No. This chamber was meant to protect kings. One entrance. One exit. Emily bit her lip. That's terrible design. For an ambush, Aidan murmured. Yes. A shadow appeared at the far end of the chamber. A tall figure slowly entered the light. Dark coat, pale skin, glowing blue eyes. Not Victor, but close. Emily instantly recognized him. One of the lieutenants from the hospital, not the ones Aidan had thrown off the ambulance, but someone stronger, calmer, more deliberate. Aidan stepped in front of Emily. The lieutenant smiled slightly. Aidan Blackthorne. The fallen king rises. Aidan growled softly, the sound low and ancient. State your purpose. The vampire bowed his head. I bring a message. Emily stiffened. A message from whom? Aidan asked. The lieutenant's icy blue gaze slid to Emily. From Victor. Aidan stepped forward. Speak. The lieutenant's smile widened slightly. Victor Hale offers a truce. Aidan's expression didn't change. Victor doesn't offer anything but death. This time is different. The lieutenant clasped his hands behind his back. He wishes to speak with you. Alone. Without bloodshed. Emily whispered, It's a trap. Aidan didn't look back, but she felt the tension in his body. What does he want? The lieutenant's eyes glowed brighter. He wants the human. Emily froze. Aidan's entire body turned rigid. You cannot have her. The lieutenant chuckled softly. You misunderstand. Victor does not want her blood for feeding. He wants her knowledge. His eyes slid to Emily again. A healer with medical training. A paramedic. Someone familiar with blood storage, transfusion methods, and emergency care. Emily felt sick. Why would he want that? Because, the lieutenant said, Victor is building a new system. A way to feed without relying on chaos. A controlled supply. His smile sharpened. But he needs her expertise to perfect it. Emily's stomach twisted into knots. You're talking about farming. Yes, the lieutenant said simply. Efficient, renewable, organized. A blood network, built with your help. Emily backed up. No. Never. Aidan stepped protectively in front of her. She is not yours. The lieutenant sighed dramatically. Victor expected you to be difficult. So he offers terms. He held up a finger. If the healer comes willingly, Victor will spare you, Aidan. He will not attempt to kill you again. Silence fell. Emily felt cold all over. Aidan did not move. He did not breathe. He simply stared at the messenger with eyes burning gold. And if we refuse? Aidan asked quietly. The lieutenant shrugged. Victor will tear her apart piece by piece and take what he needs from whatever remains. Emily's breath caught. Aidan moved faster than the human eye could track. 1 second he stood still. The next he was gripping the lieutenant's throat, slamming him against a stone pillar hard enough to crack it. Touch her, Aidan hissed, fangs flashing, and I will rip your spine from your body. The lieutenant didn't flinch. Then perhaps you should accept the offer. Aidan leaned in closer. Tell Victor this. He slammed the vampire harder against the stone. If he comes near her again, he dies. The lieutenant smiled with blood-filled teeth. He is counting on it. Aidan released him. The vampire dropped to the ground and straightened his coat casually, as if having his head nearly crushed was nothing more than an inconvenience. He turned toward Emily. Think carefully, healer. You could save countless lives. His voice softened, twisted into something persuasive and cold. You could prevent vampires from hunting your kind. You could be a bridge between worlds. Emily stared at him in horror. By helping him enslave people. By helping him feed them, the lieutenant corrected calmly. They live. We live. Everyone wins. Emily shook her head. There's no world where I help you. The lieutenant gave a small, eerie bow. Then you have chosen war. He stepped back slowly, then vanished into the shadows so swiftly it seemed the darkness swallowed him whole. Emily grabbed Aidan's arm. He's going to kill us. Aidan looked down at her, expression dark and unwavering. Then we fight first. Emily's breath trembled. Aidan, what do we do now? He placed a hand over her heartbeat again, grounding her. Now, he said softly, we plan. We prepare. And we stay alive long enough to face Victor on our terms. Emily swallowed hard. Aidan, they want me. They want me for something terrible. Yes, he said simply. Then why are you staying here with me? Emily whispered. Aidan's golden gaze softened with something ancient and unbreakable. Because you saved my life, he said. And now I will save yours. Emily's breath stopped. Aidan stepped closer, voice a quiet vow in the darkness. I will not let Victor touch you. The chamber fell silent. The war had begun. And Emily, human, exhausted, terrified, was no longer on the sidelines. She was at the center of it. The night above the tunnels had shifted, thickened, like the city could sense a storm no weather report predicted. Emily barely registered the distance they covered as Aidan guided her through narrower passageways, up broken stairwells, and finally into an abandoned underground station swallowed by shadows. Her breaths were sharp with panic, but Aidan didn't slow. His hand held hers with firm certainty, pulling her along. Why here? Emily managed. Because Victor will strike soon, Aidan said. I must be ready. Emily glanced up at him. He looked stronger than before, still weakened, still pale, but there was something different in the way he moved now. Like each step sharpened him. Like conflict fed something ancient inside him. Emily whispered, What exactly happens if Victor kills you? Aidan didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, Then my bloodline ends. My power returns to the earth. And Victor takes the crown by force. Emily's stomach twisted. And if you kill him, I reclaim what I abandoned. Emily slowed. But you said you don't want the throne anymore. Aidan stopped and looked at her fully. I don't, he said. But I will not let him take it. His voice deepened, calm but edged with something sharp. A king's power is not simply leadership. It is magic woven into blood. If a corrupt king rises, the world suffers. Victor wishes to build an empire of controlled victims. Hunger turned into machinery. War disguised as order. Emily felt cold. And I'm part of his plan. Aidan nodded. You are the key. But why? Emily whispered. Aidan reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her face in a gesture so gentle it contrasted violently against everything happening. Because you saved me without fear. Because you stopped death with your own hands. Because your blood carries something that stirs mine. His eyes darkened. Victor believes your life can forge a new system. He wants your mind. He wants your blood. Emily swallowed. How do we stop him? Aidan turned away, voice grim. We kill him. Before Emily could speak, a metallic clang echoed from the far end of the station. Aidan stiffened. Emily froze. Then a line of lights flickered on, one by one, illuminating a steel platform in the center of the station. The smell of disinfectant and cold metal reached them. Emily's heart dropped. Victor's facility. Here. Hidden beneath the city. Aidan grabbed her arm. Stay behind me. He approached the platform cautiously. A steel door hissed open, and a voice rolled out, smooth, cold, unwavering. Aidan. You never were good at hiding. Victor Hale stepped into view, flanked by two guards but glowing with a presence that needed no protection. Tall, elegant, almost beautifully dangerous, Victor looked like a man carved from the moon, pale silver hair, sharp cheekbones, and eyes so black they seemed bottomless. But the most terrifying part was his smile. It was calm, patient, like everything was unfolding exactly as he wanted. Aidan growled, a sound Emily had never heard from him, deep, furious, primal. Victor, Aidan said through clenched teeth. Victor spread his arms casually. Welcome home, old friend. Aidan stepped forward. Release her. Now. Victor chuckled lightly. She's not in a cage, Aidan. Not yet. His eyes slid to Emily with unsettling interest. Though she would be far more useful if she stopped running. Emily stepped closer to Aidan instinctively. Victor smiled wider. See? She comes to you like a heartbeat to a vein. Aidan moved in front of her. Do not speak to her. Victor tilted his head. You care for her. How curious. Emily felt a pulse of heat in her face but didn't look away. Victor's voice softened unnervingly. A human healer. Aidan, even you must see the brilliance. She could save thousands of our kind. Stabilize us. Build reservoirs, storage systems. She could revolutionize how we feed. His eyes gleamed. No more chaos. No more hunting. No more secrecy. A perfect system. Emily took a step forward, anger trembling in her voice. It's slavery. Victor looked at her, not annoyed, but almost amused. Humans already donate blood to save each other. I simply want to expand the concept. It wouldn't be donation, Emily snapped. It would be harvesting. Victor shrugged. Order always requires sacrifice. Aidan's voice darkened. You want to turn humans into cattle. Victor spread his hands. Cattle live. Predators thrive. Balance is restored. Aidan lunged. Victor blocked. The entire room shook. Emily stumbled back as Aidan and Victor crashed into machinery, claws and fangs bared, shadows bending around them. Aidan swung. Victor dodged easily. Victor struck. Aidan staggered but remained standing. Victor's voice was cold steel. You're weak, Aidan. Centuries without blood have cost you everything. Aidan snarled. I'm not dead yet. The fight escalated, fast, brutal, almost impossible to follow. Emily's breath tangled in her throat as the two ancient forces clashed. Sparks flew. Metal shattered. One of the guards rushed Emily, but she grabbed a discarded steel bar and swung with adrenaline-fueled force. It connected. The guard fell. Emily gasped, trembling, but forced herself to keep moving. Aidan was losing. Victor slammed him into a wall so hard the stone cracked. Aidan collapsed to one knee. Victor stepped toward him slowly, savoring each step. You cannot protect her. You cannot protect anyone. He raised his hand to deliver the final blow. No. Emily screamed. She ran forward, grabbing a loose oxygen tank from the ground. She swung it as hard as she could. It hit Victor square in the spine. Victor stumbled, turning his head slowly toward her. You are troublesome. Emily backed up quickly, heart pounding. Stay away from him. Victor's eyes filled with dark amusement. Ah, loyalty. How charming. He reached for her. Aidan roared. A sound that tore through the chamber like thunder. He surged up with all the strength that remained, slamming Victor into a steel support beam. Victor hissed, baring fangs. You're desperate. Aidan's voice dropped to a chilling whisper. I'm awake. The station trembled as the two vampires collided again. And something inside Aidan ignited. Emily saw it. His eyes shifted, glowing gold like molten fire. His fangs lengthened. His movements sharpened into blurs. For the first time, Aidan fought like a king. Victor's smirk faltered. Aidan struck him across the face with force that sent Victor flying into a bank of machinery. Victor spit blood and wiped his mouth. So, the king returns. Aidan stepped forward, eyes burning. I never left. Victor lunged again, but this time Aidan caught him. His hand closed around Victor's throat. Victor's eyes widened. You cannot win, Victor choked. Aidan leaned in, voice barely a growl. Watch me. He threw Victor to the ground. Victor rolled away, breath rattling, and vanished into the dark corridors of the facility. Emily rushed to Aidan. Aidan, are you okay? Aidan grabbed her shoulders, pulling her close, his voice urgent. We must leave. Victor will return with more soldiers. Emily nodded breathlessly. Then we run. Aidan took her hand. They ran. But Emily knew the truth. This wasn't the end. It was the beginning of the final battle. The last room of Victor's underground facility felt like the center of a maze, a circular chamber of steel and broken glass. Alarms blared overhead, red lights pulsing like a heartbeat gone wrong. Emily and Aidan burst inside, lungs burning. Aidan swayed slightly. Emily grabbed him. "You're bleeding." Aidan wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "It's nothing." But she saw the truth. He was fading again. Victor's voice echoed from somewhere unseen. "You cannot escape, Aidan. This is my territory." Aidan pulled Emily to the center of the room. "Stay with me." Emily's voice shook. "Aidan, you can't keep fighting alone." He placed a hand over her heart, eyes softening despite the chaos around them. "I am not alone." The lights flickered. Victor appeared behind them, stepping from the shadows like a phantom. His clothes were torn, his lip bleeding, but his posture was unbroken. Regal. Fearless. "End of the line," Victor said. Emily grabbed a metal scalpel from the floor, holding it trembling at her side. Victor laughed softly. "Oh, healer. That little blade won't save you." Emily's voice wavered. "It's not for you." Victor raised a brow. Then, Emily sliced her own palm before she could lose her nerve. Blood welled instantly. Aidan stiffened. "Emily, no." She pressed her bleeding hand against Aidan's chest. And everything changed. Aidan gasped, a deep, consuming inhale like his lungs hadn't tasted air in centuries. His body shuddered violently as the blood sank into him. Golden light flared behind his eyes. Victor took a step back. "No." Aidan rose slowly, power gathering around him like a storm. Emily couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. She only felt her heartbeat echoing in Aidan's chest, two rhythms merging into one impossible, ancient pulse. Aidan spoke, voice resonating with power that made the walls tremble. "You threatened her." Victor's confidence flickered. "Aidan, listen. You hunted her." Aidan stepped forward, each movement drenched in lethal grace. "You tried to take her." Victor stumbled backward, genuinely afraid for the first time. "We could rule together." Aidan blurred. One instant he stood beside Emily. The next, he had Victor slammed against the far wall, claws at Victor's throat. Victor's words choked out. "Aidan, don't." Aidan's voice was emotionless. "You don't get mercy." Emily watched, breath frozen, as Aidan's claws sank into Victor's chest. Victor's eyes widened. "No, no." Aidan whispered, "This ends now." With a surge of power and a roar that shook the chamber, Aidan ripped Victor's heart free, and the body collapsed into dust. Silence followed. Heavy. Final. Emily sank to her knees, shaking uncontrollably. Aidan dropped Victor's ashes, then fell to one knee beside her. He cupped her face gently. "Emily." His voice was no longer broken, no longer weak. It was the voice of a king restored. "You saved me," he whispered. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "You saved me first." Aidan tilted his forehead against hers. "Our lives are bound now, between each heartbeat." Emily swallowed hard. "What happens next?" Aidan slowly stood, offering her his hand. His presence felt different now, not heavy with ancient weight, but steady, purposeful. He spoke softly. "I reclaim the throne." Emily's breath trembled. "And me." Aidan looked at her with warmth that defied centuries of darkness. "You choose," he said. "Your world or mine. Your life or the one beside me." Emily hesitated only for a heartbeat. Then she took his hand. Aidan's smile was small but real. Above them, dawn began to rise. Deep below the city, beneath steel and silence, a new king walked forward. And Emily walked with him. If you're craving more stories where danger, desire, and destiny collide, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me which character you want to see take over the next chapter of Darkness. Like the video if you enjoyed the tension, the twists, or just the chaos. And don't forget to turn on notifications, because the next chapter might be darker, sharper, and closer than you think. Stay tuned. The night is far from over.